Ah, you know it's funny the way they laugh when they think you're broken, how they smirk when they see you down, when they watch you struggle to breathe like you're nothing but entertainment. They all gather around like vultures waiting for a carcass to feed on, thinking they've won, thinking they've conquered you. But you and I, we know something they don't. We know what it feels like when the laughter fades, when the silence becomes so loud that it drowns out everything else in the world. The silence that comes when the tables turn, when the joke is no longer on you, and they become the ones in the spotlight. When the weight of their own actions presses down on their chests, they'll finally understand what it means to struggle, to hurt, to break. They thought it was all just a game, didn't they? Like your pain was some kind of spectacle, something they could watch from a safe distance, laugh at, and move on from without any consequences. They assumed your tears were scripted, your heartbreak just part of some twisted entertainment, a fleeting show. How easy it is to be an observer, to sit on the sidelines, to pass judgment, to feel superior. But what happens when the story shifts? What happens when the joke is no longer funny and the tables are turned? It's funny how people can watch you crumble, see you fall apart, and feel nothing but amusement. But mark my words, they won't be laughing forever. No one can remain invincible. No one can stay above the struggle forever. Life has a funny way of humbling even the most arrogant of souls. They think they've won, but the truth is, they're setting themselves up for a lesson they'll never forget. You've heard it 1,000 times before, haven't you? Don't let them see you sweat. Don't show them your weakness. Keep your head up, even when the world is trying to tear you down. And for a while, maybe it works. Maybe you smile through the pain. Maybe you keep pushing through the hurt. Maybe you keep pretending you're fine, even when the world around you is falling apart. You hide your tears, you mask your fears, and you wear a face that tells everyone that you're all right. But inside you're screaming. Inside, you're drowning. They watch, they laugh, and they never understand. They don't get it. They don't know what it's like to be at your breaking point. They don't know what it's like to be pushed to the edge, to feel like there's no way out, to be trapped in a cycle of despair. They don't know the strength it takes to get out of bed every morning, when every fiber of your being is telling you to stay down. They don't know the courage it takes to keep moving forward when the world is telling you to give up. But then, one day, the laughter fades, the smirks fade, the mocking, the judgment, the ridicule, they all come to a screeching halt. Because life has a way of making sure that everyone who thinks they're invincible, everyone who thinks they can laugh at someone else's pain, gets a dose of their own reality. The universe has a way of balancing the scales. It might take time, but it always comes. And when it does, oh, how the tables will turn. They won't laugh anymore. They won't mock anymore when it's their turn to struggle, when they're the ones fighting to stay afloat, when they're the ones choking on their own fears and insecurities. They'll remember. They'll remember you. They'll remember the way they watched you suffer, the way they stood on the sidelines while you bled, and they'll wish they hadn't. They'll wish they had been kinder, more compassionate. They'll wish they hadn't turned your pain into a joke, because now the joke is on them, and in that moment, you will stand tall. You won't be the one laughing. No, that's not your style. You won't revel in their downfall, but you'll know. You'll know that what goes around comes around. You'll know that their time has come, and the very thing they thought they could escape is now knocking at their door. It's a cycle, my friends, a never-ending, unbreakable cycle. Those who laugh at your pain will eventually be the ones to feel it themselves. The ones who mock your struggles will one day find themselves lost in the same dark tunnel, searching for a way out. And when they do, they will see your strength. They will see the resilience you showed when they thought you couldn't keep going. They'll see the way you stood up, no matter how many times you were knocked down, no matter how many times you were kicked when you were already on the ground. They'll see the power that was always inside of you, the power they never thought you had. But let me tell you something about strength. It's not about how hard you can hit. It's not about how many times you can knock someone else down. True strength is measured by how many times you can get back up after you've been knocked down. True strength is in the silent moments, in the tears that no one sees, in the resilience that you build day after day against all odds. You don't need their approval. You don't need their validation. You don't need their laughter. You never did. The truth is, their laughter wasn't about you. It was about their own insecurity, their own need to feel superior, to hide their own weakness by pointing at yours. But they're wrong. They've always been wrong. Your strength is not defined by their laughter. Your worth is not defined by their opinion. They thought they could break you, but what they didn't realize is that you were never meant to be broken. You were never meant to stay down. You were always meant to rise. So when it happens to them, when life catches up with them and their own darkness comes to light, don't revel in their suffering. Don't stoop to their level. Instead, show them what grace looks like. Show them what true strength looks like. Because while they thought they were watching you fall, you were actually rising. You were building yourself, brick by brick, until you became unbreakable. They won't understand it at first. They'll want to blame the world, to point fingers, to cry out for help. They'll want sympathy. They'll want a way out. But there's no easy way out when the tables turn. There's no escape when you realize that the laughter you once used to drown out your own pain is now echoing back at you. They'll find it entertaining until it happens to them. And that's the moment, the turning point, when they realize that pain is not a spectator sport. It's not something you can watch from a safe distance and walk away unscathed. It's a part of life. It's something you either learn to face or it will consume you. But when it consumes them, when they finally understand what it feels like to be in your shoes, to struggle, to hurt, to feel lost, they will wish they hadn't taken so much pleasure in your suffering. But you and I, we know the truth. We know that the journey is never easy. We know that pain is inevitable. But we also know that strength is born in the struggle. Resilience is forged in the fire. And the greatest victories are the ones you achieve when you rise above it all, when you keep moving forward, even when the world tries to knock you down. So let them laugh now. Let them mock. Let them think they've won. Because when the joke is on them, and it will be, you'll be the one who walks away stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever. And that's a victory they will never take from you. In the end, the laughter will fade. The smirks will vanish. The people who thought they could break you will learn the hard way that you can't break what was never meant to be broken. And as they stand there, facing their own struggles, they'll finally understand. They'll finally realize that no one is invincible. No one can escape the pain that they so easily mocked. And when they find themselves lost, when they find themselves fighting for a breath, they'll remember you. They'll remember the strength you showed. They'll remember that you didn't break, no matter how many times they tried to tear you down. And in that moment, they'll realize that you were never the joke. They were. So keep going. Keep rising. And when the time comes, when the tables turn, you'll be ready, because you've been through the fire and it didn't burn you. It only made you stronger. The tables will turn, and when they do, you'll stand tall. You'll stand proud, and you'll know that you've already won. Life has a funny way of making things right. Keep your head high, your heart strong, and your spirit unshaken. Because the laughter, the mocking, the ridicule, it will all fade. But your strength, your resilience, your ability to rise above it all, that's something they'll never take from you. In moments when the weight of the world feels too much to bear, when every step forward seems like it's met with resistance, remember that the very things that try to tear you down are the things that are building you up. It might not always feel that way, and in fact, at times, it might feel like you're drowning, struggling for breath, but this is just the process. The path of growth, the journey towards strength, is not one of smooth roads and easy wins. It's a path of obstacles, of challenges, of doubt, of pain, and yet it's these very things that make you who you are. The world may mock you, but the world doesn't know your story. They don't know what it took for you to get up every day and face the world, no matter how many times life knocked you down. They didn't see the late nights, the lonely hours, the battles fought in silence. They didn't witness the times you almost gave up, when every part of you screamed to surrender, but you didn't. They don't know the strength it takes to carry the weight of your pain without ever asking for help. And they never will. Because strength is not something you can see in a moment. It's something that reveals itself over time. It's built in the quiet moments when no one's watching, when it feels like no one even cares. They may laugh now, but they don't realize that the more they try to break you, the stronger you get. Every insult, every taunt, every moment of ridicule, they're not chipping away at you. They're forging you, shaping you, making you stronger than you could ever imagine. Every attack is just another step toward your becoming, toward the version of yourself that you are destined to be. The world may not understand it now, but they will, eventually. One of the cruelest aspects of life is that people often believe that pain is something to be dismissed, something to be laughed at from a distance. But the truth is that pain is universal. It's something every single one of us will face at some point. It's something no one can escape. And one day, they will know what it feels like to be you. They will feel the weight of the struggle that they once mocked. They will see how hard it is to stand tall when life is doing everything in its power to knock you down. And when that day comes, they'll wish they had been kinder. They'll wish they hadn't been so quick to laugh at your expense, so eager to judge your journey before understanding it. But by the time that moment arrives, you won't be the same person they mocked. You won't be the person they saw as weak or broken. You will have transformed. You will have taken all the pain, all the ridicule, and turned it into something unshakable. You will have turned that darkness into light, that suffering into strength. And when they come to you for help, when they come seeking comfort or answers, you will have the power to offer them wisdom, not out of arrogance, but from a place of deep knowing. You will understand what it means to rise, not because it was easy, but because you did it even when it was the hardest thing you ever had to do. See, that's the real power of adversity. It doesn't just change you, it reveals you. It reveals who you truly are beneath all the layers you've built around yourself. It shows you the depth of your character, the strength you didn't know you had. And no one can take that away from you. They might try to break you, but all they'll do is bring you closer to the truth of who you are. They might mock you, but the more they do, the more you grow. And that's something they'll never understand until they're standing where you once stood. But even then, you won't need to prove anything, because your journey will speak for itself. You won't need to remind them of their cruelty or gloat in their downfall. You will simply continue to rise. And in that rising, you will be showing them what it means to be unbreakable. You'll be teaching them that the real strength comes not from how you treat others when you're on top, but how you handle yourself when you're on the bottom. You'll be showing them that the greatest revenge is not in bringing someone down, but in lifting yourself higher, in being the person they never thought you could be. And when they realize this, when they see your strength, they'll understand. They'll understand that you weren't weak, that you weren't fragile. You were just being tested. And when we're tested, when we're pushed to our absolute limits, we either break or we rise. The difference between those who stay broken and those who rise isn't luck or magic. It's the choice to keep going, even when everything inside you is screaming to quit. It's the will to persevere, the heart to keep fighting, and most importantly, it's the belief that no matter how many times you fall, you will always, always get back up. So when life feels like it's too much, when the laughter and the judgment seem overwhelming, remember this. You are not the joke. You are not the spectacle. You are the warrior. You are the one who is still standing, still fighting, still striving, no matter how many times the world knocks you down. And one day, those who laughed will be the ones watching in awe as you rise from the ashes, stronger than ever. They will see you for what you truly are, a force to be reckoned with. And when that happens, you won't need to say a word. Your resilience, your strength, your very presence will speak louder than any words ever could. You will be a testament to the fact that life doesn't define you. The pain doesn't define you. The people who mock you don't define you. You define you. And when you rise, you will rise with a power and grace that no one can deny. So keep moving forward, no matter how hard it gets. Keep fighting, keep pushing, keep proving to yourself, not to the world, that you are unbreakable. The pain will fade, the laughter will fade, but your strength will remain. And when the tables turn, when the world finally sees you for who you truly are, you will be standing tall, strong, proud, and unshaken. In the end, remember this: life has a funny way of making things right. And though the journey may be long and the road may be hard, one thing is certain. What was once thought to be your downfall will be the very thing that leads to your rise. They found it entertaining until it happened to them. But you'll keep rising, and when they look back, they'll realize that the real joke was never on you. It was on them.